It's your boy WaifuGate coming back at you with another video. Today we're going to be doing the viewer deck analysis, the weekly viewer deck analysis. This is something I do every week. I record it on Thursday and we put it up on Saturdays. We just take a look at the list, kind of analyze it, what changes I might do if I like the list, not really my style, etc. And then we give critique on what we could change for the sideboard to make it better, or to shift certain matchups to be a little bit more favored for us. So we're going to start today with, I think this is ECK's list, one of the viewers from chat, one of the new regulars that's been dropping by here and there. And he's running Jeskai Super Friends. So we already took a look at this list to begin with and gave it a little bit of feedback. So we'll see how close it is to my ideal version of it, like what I might play actually. So we've still got the one of Glass Casket. I'd like to see maybe more copies of this. We've got a Trawler. We've got two Kenriths. All of these videos, all of these decks, I mean, will be in the comments below in exportable format. You just click through and then click export here, for example. There should be an export button up here somewhere. And these will be in order that you see them, like Jeskai first, you know, and then Strider's List, and then the Black Green Rock. So it's pretty easy to export them if you guys are interested in playing these lists. They're very easy to find. So we've got one Glass Casket, which I'd like to see more copies of. Like I usually like 2 or 3 just for consistency. And then we've got 2 Shark Typhoons, 2 Elspeths, Omens. Oh, there are 2 Caskets. Okay, that's a little bit better. I didn't see that. Cardboard Live is a bit tricky with its formatting, unfortunately, but I understand it. So oh, actually, no, it's not. So it just goes to this row and then to the next row. So we've got Glass Caskets. We've got the 4 Omens, 3 Narsets. 4 Narsets. Ooh, that's heavy. I'd probably trim one of those, but I understand it. 4 Teferis, 2 Narset of the Ancient Ways, which is very nice life gain, by the way. I like this a lot. And then we've got 3 Elspeths, 3 Shark Typhoons, 1 Chandra 6-head, that uncounterable win con, 2 Vetoes, 3 Absorbs, 2 Clarions, and 2 Shatters. Now, I think that we sacrificed too many board wipes from the last variation of the deck. I don't really know how to tell how many lands we have exactly. 4, 5, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 25 lands. 25 without Birth seems pretty rough. I would probably trim something for 26 lands, especially since we don't have a lot of looks aside from Omen. And Narset can put lands on the bottom potentially. Like, she doesn't help us find them. Teferi does, and Narset of the Ancient Way does. I feel like if we're already on 4 or 5 mana, we're probably fine though. Like 4 mana means we can board wipe and kind of get there. So 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 25. Yeah, I'd say like 1 more land. So I might trim like a Narset for a land. Good land selection though here from the looks of it. 4 Triomes, some temples. There are a lot of temples, a lot of scry lands, but that almost makes it worse in regards to having too few lands, because then if you need 1 land off the top untapped for that Clarion man, oof, if you get the temple, the Monkey Paw, it's really, really tough. It hurts a lot, you know? So I'd say that maybe 1 more land could be pretty good. I'd say trim 1 Narset for a land. Maybe trim like 1 Absorb for another Clarion or another Shatter, like dealer's choice, like whatever you feel is necessary there. And that should be pretty okay. Maybe even like 1 less Shark Typhoon. We do have a lot of cycle with the Shark Typhoons to hit land drops too, so maybe we don't need 26 lands, but I would feel way more comfortable with it as a control player, personally. It's just always made sense. I think maybe that might be like sensing, like this is my experience, that might not matter type dealio though. So I've got to kind of shy away from that if I can and try to look at it in a mathematical sense. Like, why is 26 so much more important than 25? Something I gotta answer eventually. Yeah, so we got 2 Soul Guide Lanterns for Uros, for maybe like pesky Dance of the Manse decks. We've got 2 Vetoes for control, 4 Disputes, 3 Justice Strikes, and 4 Aether Gusts, 1 Shatter in the sideboard. Okay, I can dig that. I like the shatter in the sideboard. So I'd say like one more Clarion main maybe, just for consistency's sake. It's a lower CMC, so if we're sticking to 25 lands, that makes more sense to me. I'd like to see maybe one more Justice Strike in the sideboard over the Gust, because if you Gust a Questing Beast, they're going to be like, yo, I'm putting that back on top. So I kind of like Justice Strike just because like we might be a little soft to hasty creatures, and Justice Strike basically kills any dangerous hasty creature in the meta right now. Robert the Rich, not Spellbreaker, I guess, but the Gruul Satyr there, and mainly Questing Beast and Nissalands and such. But I mean, Gust is good against Nissalands, so that's kind of a no-go. So I would say trim one Gust for an 8 for Justice Strike, or maybe a Mystical Dispute for Justice Strike. I almost said Gustus Strike. How's it going, Rose? We're just recording a YouTube video. How are you doing, man? We're doing viewer deck reviews right now, the weekly. So yeah, I think it's definitely better than the first version. I just think we could maybe trim in our set for a land is the biggest change I would make, and maybe one other card for the Clarion there. So other than that, it looks way better than the first variant. I'd say like it struggles against aggro if you don't hit your sweepers and you can't go over the top with your planeswalkers and such and value. And it might struggle a bit against like Reclamation, a little. I mean, you do have vetoes for Reclamation and they can never play around those. Like you can just always, for each veto you have, you can counter their Expansion Explosion, which is their win con. And then it just comes down to dealing with Shark Typhoon tokens and Shark Typhoon in general, which you have plenty of answers to, for the most part anyway. That's what I would say. I appreciate that, Void Rose. We actually get some new thumbnails for the YouTube video, which I'm pretty excited to start implementing. We did a photo shoot with my roommate Wesley, the artist, and we got some good stuff coming up for the channel. Pretty excited. We also started to include codes in the video, so there's a code somewhere. Should probably say that at the start of the video. But there are codes now in most of the newer YouTube videos. So, all right. So yeah, I would say like Bant Ramp, with this amount of Narsets, we're pretty okay against it. We have a shot at least, especially with the vetoes and Elspeths and stuff for planeswalkers. Like we have the tools. It's just like drawing enough lands plus threats. Kenrith is also very significant here. Like this card can just get you so much value, and it can come out of nowhere. Really feel like this is a good card for control for the most part. It can be very sticky and hard to deal with for aggro. I feel like it's even a better sideboard card when you show like no creatures main deck and you just show Shark Typhoon tokens or something. Super nice. But yeah, I like the look of this list now. So this is a Striderstone special. No sideboard because it's already it's just best of one memes basically because he doesn't want to play against Nexus of Fate, I think. I'm looking forward to it, Rose. In regards to the progression and stuff, I'm hoping. So this looks like a pile. So this is basically between this and Star of Extinction. I'm not sure which one is like the spirit animal for Striderstone at this point. I think it's probably Haphazard, because that's in more decks than Star nowadays. So we've got a lot of 4-ofs. We've got 4 Grazers. Oh no, they should have a sideboard. I lied. So they do have a sideboard, but it's for Fae of Wishes. They have a lot of combo pieces here. The Sunbirds, the Haphazard, Rivers, just in case they go to mill themselves. Strider has a Jace, which is super nice. Dance of the Manse, which is very spicy. I like that inclusion. Ooh, nice. Mirror Maid, yep. Okay, that's really spicy. And the Yorion, of course. So we're running an 80 card pile, 37 lands approval, stamp of approval right there. Especially with Wolf Willow giving ramp. Maybe 38 lands is okay, but 37 I can respect it. You need a lot of combo pieces and a lot of board wipes and stuff. So we ramp into a Storm's Wrath, which is nice, especially for best of one where you need more probably board wipes than not. Wrath also hits a lot of pesky planeswalkers. especially like Narset, Teferi, etc. potentially, which is nice. Can also, like, if people are main decking like silly stuff like mono reds getting like Tabolts, this kind of snags that up. When does my stream end? Usually about a half hour from now, usually 8 p.m. CST. And I start around 2 p.m. CST. So we've got lots of ramp, we've got the 2 phase, we've got 4 Uros, so lots of life gain, 4 cultivates, 4 gifts, which is even more life gain for best of 1, that's awesome. Sunbirds, so whenever you cast a spell from your hand, reveal X cards from your library, from the top of your library, where X is that spell's converted mana cost. You may cast a card revealed this way with converted mana cost X or less without paying its mana cost, but the rest on the bottom in any order. So this is like extremely good with like Eugene, QR Best, Sea God. Well, if I don't want Striderstone to donate this deck to me because of the wild card consumption, this would financially destroy me. I guess it's only 2. And I would probably be like, I think we only need 2 of these. And then Striderstone would be like, stop being a little baby. I donated this deck to you. Just use the wild cards. Stingy little WaifuGate. So you've got 3 Genesis ultimatums as well, which is very strong. Oh man, and you can get like haphazards and stuff off of Sunbirds. This is gross. And like Star, like you Star of Extinction, and then you put out like a QR Best Sea God, and then the Kraken just blows up and you just laugh anyway. It's just hilarious. This looks super funny to play. This list has the stamp of approval for fun for sure. I like it a lot. And the River's Rebuke, yeah, just a lot of good tools. I would say maybe more answers, like maybe a Shatter the Sky, or not Shatter, but like maybe like a Flame Sweep in the sideboard for aggro potentially. Like being able to Fae for that would be nice. Just something like that. Maybe like an emergency button. Like more emergency buttons is the biggest critique I would say for this deck in the sideboard. Like your emergency buttons include like River's Rebuke and stuff, really expensive stuff. I would favor stuff like Life Goes On, where it's just like 4 life gain for 1 mana, stuff like that. Like where you could get yourself out of a bind for the next turn when you can Starve Extinction or something. Is the biggest critique I would give to this. Clear the Mind makes sense. Just like less big stuff in the sideboard and maybe more safety for Fae. But especially since your win cons are pretty much covered in your main, as long as you have the Jace sideboard as well, like it just makes sense not to commit too much. Other than that, maybe 1 more land, maybe even trim the Uro for the land. But the thing is, like, you're on a 37 card pile. Like, you're probably fine. I would say like 1 or 2 Crassus could be very spicy and very good, because then you would have access to a mana dump, which is X still. While it's on the stack, it will still count for the X on Sunbirds, which is very interesting. Like you could get Crassus for 4 mid-game would be very, very nice. All right, sounds good, Void Rose. I will catch you later, man. Thanks for dropping by for a minute, and I appreciate the compliments. And then Genesis, yeah, this list looks just like a pile. I'd just say maybe change the sideboard up to have more emergency buttons. Other than that, it looks really fun. These lands are crazy. I like it. It's very straightforward too compared to the other lists that I looked at. And the name is definitely something to be impressed by. The Kraken Gangbang. Yes. All right, then we've got Black Green Rock. If you guys don't know what rock is, now the problem that I have with this list in particular is that we are only making use. Oh wow, this list isn't even complete really. So right now I would say the problem with this list is it's not running enough historic cards, because it just has 3 Maelstrom Pulse, and we're not really set up for best of 3 either. Black green lands with Fabled, like all of the like we would have for example the black green, what's it called, Catacombs, Woodland Cemetery. We'd have Woodland Cemetery, Overgrown Tombs, etc. All of that stuff in Fabled. Okay. Because for me, like, Maelstrom Pulse isn't enough to do historic with. Like, the way that I look at this, right, is that Black Green Rock, in regards to like a power level thing, right, is not really viable in standard, right? So does Maelstrom Pulse make this viable, powerful enough to keep up with stuff like, you know, Nexus of Fate or Field of the Dead? Like, this is a really good card against Field of the Dead, but they can just refill again potentially, right? Especially if they're just gonna go +1 Teferi, escape ship your face off. Like, that's tough, right? So I would say like maybe tweak this to not have Maelstrom Pulse and work on a standard deck. Or include more power level cards for historic, which I'm not an expert on historic, but I'm pretty sure you could squeeze out more value and just better card options for historic. You know, I think we could probably get there. Also, not running Questing Beast hurts my face. I would say like trim maybe Chevelle, trim maybe a Walker or two, and run like Questing Beast as well so you can schmork people down. I like the idea of that, like Questing Beast and Rankle, you know what I'm saying? And getting there with like Ooze, being able to fiend out a Questing Beast as well. Like, that's cool. I like that. And I would say like, depending on how we want to do it, like I'm not sure if the Thieves Guild thing is super great because we don't have a lot of rogues. Like we have Chevelle and that's it. Oh no, we have Rankle. It's a little spicy. I kind of like that a little bit. Pretty spicy. I just found finding room for like 2 or 3 questing beasts would be nice. Ixalan did it. Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that, Ripper. Yeah. The point. Ripper said, I guess the goal is that Jund and Rock are near legendary archetypes in Modern, and yet we aren't seeing it in Pioneer and Historic. Ixalan kind of did. Yeah, I would just say try to push the archetype a little bit more. Try to figure out like what cards can I run in Historic that I cannot run aside from the land base, you know, because that's fine. Aside from the land base and Maelstrom Pulse, what else am I getting from playing in this format? Like, how can I punish certain archetypes? Like, if I'm looking at this in a best of 3 sense or a best of 1 sense, I'm seeing like Field of the Dead. We can fly over Field of the Dead here, especially with Fiend Artisan. We can just fetch the tools necessary to go face, maybe fast enough. You know, that's kind of interesting. Like Questing Beast dodges all the stuff on the ground while they're setting up for Field of the Dead. Can we race the, you know, escape shift clock? Do we have like eliminates? Like what do we have access to deal with the Teferi stuff? You know what I mean? Like, what's our goal? Because this seems like it's just like black green kind of good stuff, and maybe that's good enough to squeak out some games, but I'd like some more like focused, like, why are we running this instead of they're just being good cards. Because I myself fall into that trap where I'm just like, good card, good card, good card, and kind of make a deck based off of good cards, but don't really have any proactive, like, I'm going to win doing this. This is it. Like, Strider's lists are way more proactive than mine because the dude just loves playing big stuff. And big stuff is proactive. Look, I'm gonna blow up your lands. That's pretty proactive. Yo, I'm gonna cast Kiora Best Sea God and just wreck you. I'm gonna take your best thing and I'm gonna blow up all of your other things. Like, this makes sense. Like, this, you know, it does the thing. This is just like, okay, I'm gonna duress and agonize and remorse you. Maybe take away your Teferi, maybe take away escape shift, etc. I'm gonna take your win con. Answer your win cons with Assassin's Trophy, while I try to beat you down with Rankle and maybe discard, each player discards a card, etc. Like, you know, we could go a couple different ways with this. We could go like, you know, Rotting Registar, Great Henge into Standard, etc. Like, there's so much you can push with this list. I just don't have a lot of knowledge in Historic in regards to cards that I would include in Black Green Rock. Like, for example, I can go into a Historic list and try to see if there's like a card that I'm just not thinking about for black or green, right? I can do that. Black, green, not red, black and green. So like, what Historic cards are very, very good here that I'm missing point of? Like, I'm just whiffing on in my head. Like, I don't think there are any that super stand out. This guy is amazing in Black Green Rock. I like this guy a lot. Like he just wins you the game for 1 mana. He's great. Well, technically 3. Um, I just don't know about anything else. Like Cast Down's okay, I guess, but that's not really a reason to go with Golgari specifically. Um, there's just nothing that's popping out to me, man. What about green? Is there a green card that I'm not thinking about that pushes us into a crazy direction? This is a fun card, but I don't know if it's good. Say, yeah, nothing's popping out to me. But I would say like look at cards that might push you over the top for historic, and kind of go from there. And then because like the only reason I say that is because if the archetype, and this is looking in a maybe this is like results oriented thinking where I'm thinking like, you know, if Black Green Rock cannot succeed in standard right now, and there are more powerful cards in historic, and we are not using more powerful cards from historic, how can we compete in a format that's even harsher and more over the top if we're only using 3 historic cards? Unless it's just the land base that's holding us back for rock. And I don't think that's the case because we have like triomes that we could use to cycle if we needed to. We've got temples and we've got overgrown tombs right now, you know, and fabled passage. So I don't see that being the issue. I just like I would just try to explore what we can do in standard or what we can do in like take out the Maelstrom Pulse, add in more eliminates or something, or less Assassin's Trophies since people punish you for playing this card, and like maybe like Great Henge, Rotting Regisar. Like just kind of shift it up and see if we can make this a standard thing instead of historic, or go the other direction and just include more historic cards that are very, very good. What I would say is my biggest advice here. Other than that, I love Black Green Rock. Like I love that archetype. That's the type of creature deck that I will play, where there's just a lot of value, a lot of good answers, and very proactive gameplay with like, I'm gonna win if you don't blow up this Regisar. What I would say. All right, and that'll pretty much do it for this video. So I do the recording for this every Thursday. So if you guys have a list that you want me to review for one, jam it right in the comments below. I usually try to check those as much as I can. So if you have a list and it's exportable or whatever, like I can just click on it. I'll include it in the next video, boom, just like that. Or alternatively, you can stop by the stream and just be like, hey man, I want to submit a deck for, a deck for for the viewer, for the weekly viewer analysis, and I'll consider it for sure. I'll put it in a notepad and we'll save it and open it up when we go to do the next video. If you guys have any comments, anything that you think I can improve on for the video, drop it down below or stop by my stream. 2 p.m. CST until about 8 p.m. CST. I'm usually streaming every day, except for Mondays and Tuesdays. So cheers, appreciate you guys, and I will see you guys for the next video. There'll be a subscribe button, and all of my videos from now on, I think we'll have a code giveaway for an individual card reward. So if you guys are interested in that, it'll be in like red text. You probably saw it if you watched the video. You know, there's that. And I will see you guys next time. Thank you for watching and chilling out.